On this special edition of Lexington Now, week 2 of severe storms preparedness, housing and utility help for those affected by the pandemic, and a special tribute to the late Jake Gibbs. I'm Neil Noah, and welcome to Lexington Now for the week of March 8th, 2021. We begin this episode with week 2 of Severe Storms Preparedness Month as we discuss the dangers of flooding.
We want to make sure that people understand that in addition to tornadoes and thunderstorms, flooding is a big danger here in central Kentucky and Lexington. There are a lot of low-lying areas that flood. Now, the flooding may come up and go down very quickly. But even so, we want to make sure that people understand that if there's water on the road, especially water on the road where you can't tell how deep it is, it doesn't take very much to get underneath a car and cause the engine to stop. It also doesn't take a whole lot of water to take a car, especially a smaller car, that can float that car up and away. A lot of times, that running water is near a deeper stream, or even in some cases, not necessarily here in Fayette County, but in outlying areas, you can be trying to cross a bridge that's partially covered by water or some sort of other structure. And it doesn't take much. That flowing water can push a car off its wheels. If you're walking, it can push you off your feet. One of the most notable accidents here, a tragic accident here in Fayette County, was a couple of students who were crossing an area on near the UK campus, and they were walking through fast-running water. They were swept away into a drainage ditch. They went underground and they drowned. Certainly that's something we want to prevent. So if there's heavy rain, if you notice that there's flooding, that water is ponding in your yard, say, stay inside, don't go out. Especially if you have children, don't let them go out and play in floodwaters. Many Lexington neighborhoods have or are adjacent to drainage ditches or streams or retention ponds. That's no place to play, especially during a flood incident. We want to make sure that people stay safe, stay away from flooded roads, and the National Weather Service has a very good saying that if you see flooded waters, you're in your car, turn around, don't drown. That's very good, very, very good advice. In preparation for flooding, when you know from the weather forecast that you see that there's going to be rain for a couple of days, take a walk around your house. Make sure the downspouts are clear, that water can drain away from your home and has a place to go so that water doesn't come up inside of your basement. If you do live in an area that is prone to flooding and you notice that water is coming up through the foundation or coming up through the wastewater system, do call 311, Lex call at 425-2255 and report it. They will be able to give you information on how a city crew or the fire department can come out and check and keep you safe. But again, flooding is nothing to mess with. Recently, we've had a lot of snow. We've had a lot of rain. We're going to get more rain, likely through the entire month of March and April. We want people to be safe. And remember, turn around, don't drown. You can get a lot more information about flooding, tornadoes, thunderstorms, lightning, and serious hazards here in Lexington by going to the website, bereadylexington.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter. We try to have all the latest information right there so you know what to expect before it happens.
The federal government has allotted funds to the city for help for those struggling to make rent and utility payments due to the pandemic. Charlie Lanter explains how the program works.
In the bill that Congress passed in December, where everybody got their most recent stimulus check, also in that bill was an appropriation for emergency assistance for renters for rent and utilities. The beauty of this program is it doesn't just say, we'll pay your back rent up to $3,000 or up to $4,000, which is pretty typical with those kinds of programs. This program basically says, look, we'll pay all the rent you owe, back rent, going back 12 months. It'll also pay 3 months forward. So as long as you're eligible, it will pay your rent for 3 months forward to help keep you stable. The total benefit is 15 months. So you can do 12 back, 3 forward, or some combination, but you can't get more than 15. We also can pay utilities, utility arrearages, and we're still working through maybe a couple other types of expenses that we might be able to pay. The household income has to be at or below 80% of area median income. And we'd look at your past month of income and extrapolate that out to what an annual income level would be. So that would include not just active income, but unemployment, any other payments that are coming into the household, and then we calculate your annual. So what we'll find is there are people whose normal annual income would be well above that, but they've lost a job, they've been furloughed, they've had their hours cut. So we're looking at that past month to see what your current situation is. So that's important because I don't want someone to think I make too much, I'm not eligible, because it's about where are you today, not where were you before the pandemic. Also, you have to demonstrate that your household was economically impacted by COVID-19. So you're kind of going to demonstrate that as part of your application with your income, because you're going to have an unemployment letter, or if you're just using unemployment as part of your income. We're expecting to see some other interesting impacts, because it also could mean your expenses went up. Did you take in relatives, children who have to do school all day? Did you have unforeseen medical expenses because someone in the household contracted COVID? So these are all contributing factors that we have to document to make sure that the reason you didn't pay your rent was not just strictly economic, but it was also related to the pandemic. Visit the website www.covid19renterhelp.org. They will be able to read all about the program, everything I've been talking about. It'll have the details on there, probably more details than I've been able to get into today. But more importantly, it has a link to the application. So you can click on the application, you can submit. It also has the program documents that you're going to have to fill out. So you can go ahead and download those and start filling them out, which includes, the things about documenting your income. There's a landlord-tenant agreement that your landlord is going to have to sign accepting the funds. So all those things are on the website as well. We have a prioritization process, because what we got to do is make sure if someone has an eviction scheduled for tomorrow that we get on that. So we triage that to sort of prioritize anything that has an immediate threat. And then we get those referred to our partner, Community Action Council, who's actually processing and paying the rent, processing the application and paying the rent. So if you apply, you're actually going to be contacted back by Community Action to submit to them your documentation for eligibility, and then they'll be the ones that pay the rent to your landlord. The goal is to keep people housed. We don't want anyone to get evicted. We don't want anyone to have to go through that. I mean, there is enough stress on families right now. There's enough going on throughout this pandemic. And I know for both landlords and renters, this is difficult, because landlords have mortgages to pay on their properties as well. And so it's a difficult time. It's frustrating for everyone. We ask folks to be patient. When you submit that application, it might be a few weeks before we can get to you to actually process it, just because of the sheer volume. We are receiving hundreds of these applications every week, in some cases hundreds a day. It sort of varies by day, and so it takes time. It takes time to triage that. It takes time to get to everyone. We are ramping up. We're adding staff. We're adding capacity every day. We're getting faster every day. So I just ask both renters and landlords to be patient, but make sure you apply. Make sure you never assume you're not eligible. It's worth a shot. Let's take a look at your file. Let's see if we can help you.
When we come back, a special tribute to the late Jake Gibbs.
I wear a mask so I can safely fly out of Lexington Airport to go see my grandson.
Because I like grocery shopping and going out shopping with my daughters.
So I can feel safe when I go shopping or go to the grocery.
In memory of my husband, Bill McCann, who was a community leader, and he would have supported this cause.
Help me and wear yours too.
Help me and wear a mask too.
Welcome back to Lexington Now. Council member Jake Gibbs' sudden passing a year ago left behind a legacy of dedication to serving the community, and his memory has been honored with a permanent installation downtown.
Well, what we're trying to do here, Jake was a man of the people, man of the street. I don't know if he owned a car, I guess he did, but I never saw him in one. He was always either walking or on a bicycle, so we thought it appropriate to put something in the street by his beloved alfalfas that dedicated and memorialized all the things he's done for all of us here. So because of that, we are very pleased to be able to present this to the city and to our community.
This is the kind of day when it's easy to close your eyes and imagine Jake strolling along on the sidewalk, enjoying the sunshine. Jake Gibbs made his time on earth count for the good. Walking or cycling around town, he took time to smell the roses, or in his case, the lilacs, to enjoy the beauty of a good book or the shade of an inviting tree. We are celebrating Jake's goodness here today, and I want to thank the Downtown Lexington Management District and Jim and the board for giving our city a way to remember Jake. This plaque placed in his honor here in front of alfalfas. This plaque describes Jake as a dedicated servant to his community, and so he was. He was a self-described city kid who fiercely protected downtown and its historic neighborhoods. Jake fought for the 3rd District and also for his family, his friends, and his students. The plaque we are dedicating today includes a drawing of a tree with very deep roots. Jake put down deep roots when he moved to Lexington in 1978, and we are so glad he did.
Jake had a long and distinguished career as a public citizen before he became a member of council. And one of the ways in which he contributed to the vitality of this community is by saving alfalfas, which is a community treasure. It's a business, but it's really a business oriented to making the community a better place to live. And so it reflected Jake's vision of what the city could be. I also have to say at least a word or two about Jake's kind of a mix of things. Jake was not a character, but he had a lot of character. And one of the things that we know about him, we kind of mention it in an offhand way, was that he taught logic, and he hated it when people couldn't think logically and act logically. And one of his frustrations is that he could never get the waitrons. So alfalfas was way ahead of the curve in terms of gender neutrality, and they didn't have waiters and waitresses, they had waitrons. Jake could never get the waitrons to get to the level of service that he thought was appropriate for this endeavor and community. And so it was one of the things that he talked about a lot. So having that plaque in front of alfalfas kind of memorializes both the contribution that he made as a public citizen before he got on council, and then how, as has already been said, he became a person who was a fierce advocate for the life of downtown. We regret his passing, of course. We miss him ferociously. Thank you all.
This remembrance of Jake is perfect because it brings together three things he loved. Jake Gibbs loved sidewalks because they supported pedestrian traffic. He loved downtowns, and he loved alfalfa. I thank you so much for this. It softens our sorrow a bit to have other people love and honor and remember Jake with us. So thank you all for coming.
Another way Jake Gibbs' memory is being honored is through one of the mediums he loved most, books. His widow, Anita Courtney, explains.
The Jake's Birthday Book Drive will run from March 14th through the 21st, and it's an opportunity for people to bring books to Jake's favorite haunts to be then donated to the International Book Project. The International Book Project then takes them and distributes books locally and around the world, and they go to prisons, homeless shelters, schools, daycare centers, and they do a really excellent job of matching the books to the people they're giving them to. They do a lot of work to understand the organizations who are getting them and what would be helpful to them. The places that people can drop books off are West 6 Brewing, Good Foods Co-op, High Street YMCA, Sav's Restaurant, Cup of Commonwealth, and 3rd Street Stuff, and they will all have boxes available to put your books. The International Book Project has specifications for books so they can just make the best fit for people. And so the books that they're looking for are books for adults, fiction and nonfiction, books for children, both picture and chapter books, and they say they never have enough board books, so if people have those in their collections, it would be great to bring those. They're also looking for textbooks, particularly in the topics of math, English, and science. Medical textbooks are really helpful, and they take medical journals as well. They're also looking for reference books like dictionaries, thesaurus, encyclopedias newer than the year 2000, and vocational books. And because of the nature of their work, there are some books they can't take. So they can't take magazines, self-help books, no cookbooks, gardening books, religious books. So as people are culling through their collections, if they'll keep that in mind. They also would like the books to be in excellent quality, books that people would be happy to get. So no broken spines, no torn pages, not a lot of writing in the books. And we're hoping this will be a win-win, that people will be able to clear off their shelves some, take the books in, and then also maybe become regular donors to the International Book Project. The other thing I should mention is we don't want any of the locations to be overloaded, because that would just kind of make this system a little harder to manage. So if people have more than 20 books they want to donate, they can actually call the International Book Project and set up an appointment to bring their books to them in that way. And if you do make a donation to Jake's Birthday Book Drive and go to the venues that I mentioned earlier, you will get, if you would like, a Jake bookmark that says "Always bring a book," and then a picture of a bicycle leaning against a tree, because he was an avid cyclist and one of the co-founders of Trees Lexington. We chose this partly because we were just looking ahead to the month of March when he passed and when his birthday was, and just trying to figure out how to make that less heartbreaking. So we wanted to do something very positive, something Jake cared about. And if there's one thing that Jake cared about, it was books. That man loved to read more than anyone I know. He read so broadly. He knew so much about so much. And he really saw knowledge and information as power and as a way to make the world a better place. The more informed we all are, the better things might go. So he taught history and logic at the community college, and really promoted books that way. In addition to having a master's in history, he had a master's in library science. It was just, he was never happier than when he was sitting in this chair reading a book, or in a library, or in a bookstore.
Most meetings at City Hall continue running virtually, and we are bringing many of these meetings to you live. Check out our website for the most accurate and up-to-date coverage of city business. And we continue to keep you up to date on how the city is handling the pandemic via our official COVID-19 response site, including testing and vaccination sites. Simply click on the banner at the top of our homepage. That's all for now, but as always, you can keep up with us on social media, check out the latest traffic updates on Twitter @LexRex, or catch our live traffic cams on lexingtonky.gov. For all of us at Lex TV, I'm Neil Noah, and that's it for now.